Good evening, you're watching this Mongolian World. I'm your host, Arkhangai. And for top stories, update on the unregistered Erdenes Tavan Tolgoi coal investigation. Public hearing on coal smuggling investigation and export agreement scheduled for December 21st. An Arkhangai dairy factory is producing yak milk products. And for the news, stay tuned. The Minister of Justice and Home Affairs gave an update on issues discussed during the regular cabinet meeting on Monday. He disclosed all contracts related to coal purchases made since the establishment of Erdenes Tavan Tolgoi. It will be revealed how much was purchased and by which company. Since the establishment of Erdenes Tavan Tolgoi, 25,000 vehicles have transported coal. Information about the owners of these truck owners will be disclosed according to information from the General Authority for State Registration. As of today, 5,647 vehicles with C permits, registered by 150 companies, are carrying out short-distance transportation. Cross-border transportation is being carried out from Tsarahat to the Kashunsukhat and Kansmot ports. There are 10,432 vehicles carrying out long-distance transport for 421 companies from the mining site to Kashunsukhat port. Also, 1,282 vehicles are carrying out container transportation for 17 companies at the terminal at Kashunsukhat port. On Monday, the cabinet decided to go ahead with the international audit of Erdenes Tavan Tolgoi's finances. It was decided that one of the world's top audit companies would be selected to conduct the audit. A working group headed by Amar Vaisarlan, chief of the cabinet secretariat, has been formed to study the possibility of turning Erdenes Tavan Tolgoi into a public company and issuing an IPO. Regarding the activities of Erdenes Tavan Tolgoi, 3 conclusions have been made. Specifically, there is the possibility that about 1 million tons of unregistered coal may have been released. The investigation is ongoing. And during the investigation, it was concluded that 207,000 tons of coal might have been sold without customs registration between May 20th and June 20th, 2017. According to preliminary investigations, Erdenes Tavan Tolgoi may have sold in total 12.8 trillion MNT in coal over the last 12 years. The minister noted that the cabinet will announce the names of the officials involved in the unregistered coal investigation by Tuesday. Parliament's Economic Standing Committee is organizing a public hearing on coal smuggling allegations and export agreements on December 21st. The public hearing will cover offtake agreements established by the Erdenes Tavan Tolgoi joint stock company that include making advance payments with mineral resources and raw materials. The public hearing will also cover enterprises that mined coking coal in Mongolia and their output, enterprises that transported coking coal and their revenue, and detailed information on coking coal exported through all of Mongolia's border checkpoints. The hearing will also include a discussion of the difference between the cost of coking coal in the international market, Mongolia's export prices, and China's prices. Of particular concern is whether the price differences create conditions for corruption and tax evasion in Mongolia and China. The committee will also review how much funding was mobilized by Erdenes Tavan Tolgoi joint stock company for the Tavan Tolgoi Zumbayan and Tavan Tolgoi Kashunsukhat railway projects and the construction cost per kilometer. Now let's take a look at our next report from Archana Province. We are highlighting a woman running a small family business creating yak milk dairy products. Archana operates her business in an area where yaks are common. Arkhangai's Cholotsom is known for having many yaks, currently being home to 65,000. She started her business in 2012, setting up a tent to make her homemade dried curd. She expanded her business and now cooperates with 50 herder households who regularly supply her factory with raw yak milk. Her factory processes 300 liters of milk daily.
Arol or dried curd is a traditional Mongolian snack that should be eaten on a daily basis, not only during holidays and festivals.
In 2019, Archana took out a loan from the Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Fund to build her factory. Today, the factory regularly produces 5 to 7 and 3 or 4 products by order. The factory employs 8 full-time workers and part-time delivery workers in Lombat City. Now she is working on building a storage cellar to expand factory operations.
When I started this business, I noticed some herders using plastic containers that were not food safe. As we produce nutritious products, we try to maintain safety standards for the containers we use to transport milk. We also require our suppliers to follow these standards and provide them with cans and containers.
The cooperative plans to improve its technical and human resources capacity. Archana also plans to cooperate with the University of Life Sciences to provide jobs to new graduates. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Here's the international news from our partner agencies. Kosovo police and the local media on Sunday reported explosions, shooting and roadblocks overnight in the north of the country, where the population is mostly ethnic Serb, despite the postponement of the December 18th municipal election that the Serbs were opposed to. No injuries have been reported.
The European Union Rule of Law mission known as EULEX also reported that a stun grenade was thrown at an EULEX reconnaissance patrol last night, causing no injury or material damage. EULEX, which has some 134 Polish, Italian and Lithuanian police officers deployed in the north, called on those responsible to refrain from more provocative actions. It said it urged the Kosovo institutions to bring the perpetrators to justice. Recent tensions remain high, with Serbia and Kosovo intensifying their exchange of words. Serbia's president on Saturday said he would formally request NATO permission to deploy Serbian troops in northern Kosovo, while conceding this was most unlikely to be granted. Serbian officials claim a UN resolution that formally ended the country's bloody crackdown against majority Kosovo Albanian separatists in 1999 allows for some 1,000 Serb troops to return to Kosovo. NATO bombed Serbia to end the war and push its troops out of Kosovo, which declared independence in 2008. The NATO-led peacekeepers who have been working in Kosovo since the war would have to give a green light for Serb troops to go there, something that's highly unlikely because it would de facto mean handing over security of Kosovo's Serb-populated northern regions to Serbian forces, a move that could dramatically increase tensions in the Balkans.
A banquet was held in honor of the 2022 Nobel laureates in Stockholm Saturday with nearly 1,500 guests. Attended by royalty, the diners listened to the speeches by the winners, among them Swedish geneticist Svante Pääbo, Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine winner, and French writer Annie Ernaux, Literature Nobel laureate.
A brief introduction of each prize subject was followed by a ceremony where King Carl XVI Gustaf of Sweden handed the winners their prizes, accompanied by fanfares and music by the Royal Stockholm Philharmonic Orchestra.
I did never imagine that I would be standing here. I grew up not far from here, in Bagarmossen, a suburb of Stockholm where you were not really expected to go to university. But my mother, Karin Pääbo, who had come to Sweden as a refugee in 1944 when she was 19, she had other ideas. She had studied chemistry and transmitted an enthusiasm to me for learning and for schoolwork, and perhaps most importantly, supported any nerdy interest I developed in archaeology or Egyptology. So when I then became a graduate student in the early 80s, it seemed okay to me to pursue secret projects that my supervisor didn't know about, where I tried to retrieve DNA from ancient Egyptian mummies alongside with more official projects in immunology.
Me trouver ici,
To find myself here 65 years later, after Albert Camus won the same prize, leaves me with a profound feeling of amazement and gratitude. Amazement at the volume and size that represents a life's journey and the arduous and lowly pursuit of writing. Gratefulness for joining Camus and those writers gone or living, which I admire. I would also like to thank you in the name of those who are not here, the men and women who have perhaps found in my books a reason for living and for fighting, for feeling even prouder. By rewarding my work, you force me to demand further acumen in the search of a shareable reality and truth.
Dozens of Palestinian Christians gathered for the lighting of the Christmas tree in the Hams Road, Gaza Strip. The celebration took place at the Young Men's Christian Association (YMCA) in Gaza City in parallel with similar but large-scale celebrations in the biblical West Bank city of Bethlehem. I hope there will be peace so we can go to the West Bank without a permit. We are grumpy every feast. My son Said got the permit, but his wife did not. My family and my son got a permit, but his wife and I did not. What shall we do? Many families are in this situation. We traveled before and have never overstayed or committed any violation. I hope on the 23rd we will be able to celebrate together in the West Bank and Bethlehem.
Church officials say Israel rejected dozens of permit applications for Gaza Christians to travel to Bethlehem. Alongside the 2 million Muslim residents of the Gaza Strip, there are only around 1,000 Christians, the majority of them are Greek Orthodox. They have endured years of Israeli-Egyptian blockade on Gaza and repeated conflicts between Israel and the militant Hamas group, which governs the Palestinian enclave. Hamas and Israel fought 4 wars in over a decade. Since taking over Gaza by force in 2007, the militant Hamas group allows Christian minorities to celebrate on occasions but not in the public.
Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. Team Emirates New Zealand and pilot Glenn Ashby set a new wind-powered land speed record of 222.4 km per hour on Lake Erdenes in Australia on Sunday. Australian sailor Ashby guided Harunuku, named by Ngati Watua Orake, meaning gliding swiftly across the land, to cloak defeat in the 22 knots of wind speed on the Salt Tail in South Australia. The 45-year-old was stoked to have broken the record, which was set at 202.9 km per hour by Greenbird in 2009, but is adamant the vessel can go much faster. The team and I are obviously buzzing to have sailed Harunuku at a speed faster than anyone has ever before, powered only by the wind, but in saying that we know Harunuku has a lot of more speed in it when we got more wind and better conditions, said Ashby. The program had seen weather delays in the months leading up to the attempt due to unprecedented rainfall and surface water on the lake, and winds on the day were not as high as hoped. A stringent verification process is now taking place by international governing body FISLI before the record becomes official. World number 1 Akane Yamaguchi beat 3-time champion Tai Tzu-ying in straight games to win her first BWF World Tour Finals Women's Singles title on Sunday in Bangkok. The match lasted for 46 minutes with 2 games, 21-18, 22-20. With this win, Yamaguchi also equaled her head-to-head record with the Chinese Taipei shuttler. This was the 25-year-old shuttler's 4th title of the year. Apart from World Championships and World Tour Finals, she won prestigious All England Open and Japan Open titles. China won the men's double and women's double final. In the men's doubles, China's Liu Yuqian and Ou Xuanyi took down Indonesia's Mohamed Ahsan and Handa Setiwan in a thrilling 3-game battle. This makes Liu becoming just the second player behind former Korean star Lee Young-dae to win the season-ending finals with 2 different partners. In the women's doubles, China's Chen Qingchen and Jia Yufan continued their dominance in the discipline, standing on the highest podium with a convincing win over Thai sisters pair Panyapa Aimsarat and Nuntakam Aimsarat. This title is the 7th one for the Chinese pair in the 2022 season. Grant Wall, one of the most well-known soccer writers in the United States, died early Saturday while covering the World Cup match between Argentina and the Netherlands. US media seated near him said Wall fell back in his seat in a section of Lusail Iconic Stadium reserved for journalists during extra time of the game, and reporters adjacent to him called for assistance. Emergency service workers responded very quickly, the reporters said, and the reporters later were told that Wall had died. He received immediate emergency medical treatment on site, which continued as he transferred by ambulance to Hamad General Hospital, the World Cup organizing committee said in a statement, which did not list a cause of death. We are in touch with the US Embassy and relevant local authorities to ensure the process of repatriating the body is in accordance with the family's wishes. Wall tweeted on Wednesday that he had celebrated his birthday that day. American reporters who knew Wall said he was 49. Wall was covering his 8th World Cup, and he wrote on Monday on his website that he had visited a medical clinic while in Qatar. Wall wrote that he tested negative for COVID-19 and sought treatment for his symptoms. Wall wore a rainbow t-shirt in support of LGBTQ rights to the United States World Cup opener against Wales on November 21st and wrote that security refused him entry and told him to remove the shirt. Gay and lesbian sex is criminalized in Qatar, a conservative Muslim emirate. Here's the weather forecast of world's major cities. Well, that's all for today, and thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.